spending transpires. You see, so you can't say this is the most you can spend without fixing the economy. You fix the economy.
Well, actually, we're at about almost an hour and 20 minutes again, so we're at the end of part 3.
We're going to have to do a part 4, I think.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the treasury bonds that China is holding that are being devalued every time that Bernanke issues more currency.
Well, inevitably, what we have is controversies between countries, purportedly between countries. We perceive them as controversies between countries. But China is actually getting itself in a very bad position. It is greedily, lustily looking after enslaving its own people to exploit them under capitalism instead of communism. With an eye on obfuscating the resources of other countries into China's possession around the world. We're talking about, fishing, oil, minerals,
Iraqi oil.
Yes. So all this is happening, and it can only come to a head. But the head is going to be between the governments and the military. The governments which don't represent the people and have allowed these controversies to fester into potential military conflicts. And so, these are further dangers that we have to be aware of, that should compel us, if not to save our own hides from financial disaster, but to save our own hides from, military annihilation. I mean, which is
the mystery missile launches off the coast of California.
Yeah, you never know. Somebody
them.
sent me a link just a couple of days ago of, that China shot down an F-22 over Alaska too, and I just, we don't know that this stuff happens. I don't, at least. And I don't really like to go into the threat of war thing. I'm not an alarmist, but if we're not good enough to get off the couches and master, solution to save our own hides, to reduce our house payments on the order of $1,000 a month for a $100,000 home to $1,000 a year, to reduce it from $1,000 a month to $83.33 a month. I mean, if we're not good enough for that, we're going to deprive our own children of the very possibility of home ownership ever, or full employment, or reasonable usage of their college education, full employment of our own skills. If we're just going to forfeit all that so we can watch a couple of TV programs instead of
educating ourselves.
Yeah, in the ways that there's no such thing as a free country without the sufficient education to preserve its freedom.
It's amazing with the whole housing bubble. It looks to me. I mean, you hate to see wear a tinfoil hat and see a conspiracy and everything, but the whole thing looks so deliberate. The housing bubble and the pressure from the Senate Banking Committee on Freddie and Fannie to loan money to people without verifying any income, even citizenship. 5 million illegal aliens were granted loan mortgages here.
But that comes right back to the obfuscation of the currency. What happens when it multiplies artificial indebtedness to terminal failure is in the end of the lifespan there, nobody has any creditworthiness.
But isn't it with a purpose? So if you're going to continue... well, no, it's actually an inadvertent... if you're going to design an ideal means of exploitation, right, it would reach a maximum tolerable state and not exceed it, you see. So
as exploiters, there's a flaw in the design. It escalates the magnitude of exploitation to an ever greater degree until it exceeds our ability to withstand exploitation. Is another way to express it. Well, we are there, and we were there actually during the Bush administration. But,
don't you think what about this one? Just to get your opinion on the that I have you right here. Are this theorem that we're headed for a one world currency, and that is the objective of the Bank of International Settlements.
This was the lie of the euro. If you remember, Greenspan came out, and they asked him about the euro. It was like, isn't the Fed threatened by the euro? And the truth is, these are the same bankers, and all they do is they keep putting out different color bills with different pictures on them or different decor, and it's called a new currency, and it's the same obfuscation of the currency. Is it going to be subject to interest? Is it going to have an obligatory schedule of payment and eradication of interest that would solve inflation, deflation, systemic manipulation of the cost of value of money or property, and an inherent irreversible multiplication of artificial indebtedness into terminal failure? Is it going to have just those two things that would save us from all that? No. You see, it's not a new currency. Right. You can rename the Federal Reserve note. Right. You can change the Federal Reserve note without changing its name. Which is a trick that they've already proven wrong already. It used to say we'll pay to the bearer on demand. $5. Now it just says it's $5. Why does it just say it's $5? Because it also used to say this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank. You see, and those later words were stricken, so it just says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Well, who does that mean is the real owner of all the gold then? You see?
Well, that was it. That's the issue with the Austrian system, the gold standard.
You mean the Austrian economists, von Mises, and all those people?
Right, they're basing it on a gold, on precious metals. That just turns over control to those who control the gold supply.
Have you ever read Bombay work?
I've heard of him.
Late 1800s, one of the early, Austrian economists. I followed a trail of investigation out to his work. I was trying to find, what is it that makes the Austrians adamant about interest? Ron Paul is insisting that higher rates of interest would have prevented us from excessive borrowing when we understand the, obfuscation of the currency, we can only understand that so long as we maintain a vital circulation, higher rates of interest therefore multiply the debt all the faster because we're paying more, we're paying more interest out of circulation and having to borrow more interest back as new debt, to maintain a vital circulation. So instead, it multiplies debt at a faster rate and exacerbates the rate of failure. So I was investigating out, where do they get this stupid idea that, you can go to gold and you can have higher rates of interest and somehow this solves, and banking is good. And, I cross things immediately and it's repulsive. Go to von Mises' site and do a search for Frederick Hayek, Hayek, and his paper, about a free market monetary system. Do that search. Hayek, Hayek, von Mises, free market monetary system. You'll find that paper right in the top of that Google search. And
I'll be looking it up.
And Hayek gives you the answer right in that paper. He misstates the whole disposition of the banking system. He blames the faults of the money that we're experiencing, which is a privatization of our promissory obligations for the purpose of exploitation by private banks, and he's reacting to it as if it's a federal currency, and he's blaming it all on government when it's private entities that do this, and he's advocating that privatization of it would save us from it without providing a principle how. And in the end, he tells you why: because banking can be an extremely profitable business. The Austrian economists want to persist in banking. This idea of ending the Fed is just like it's the exact same thing that happened when Jackson ended the second Bank of the United States. Just taking out the main Federal Reserve, and what are we going to put up? A sign, Ron Paul's Bank, there instead, and it's going to be somehow different under higher rates of interest.
But one thing he is the only president that ever brought the national debt to almost zero during that period of time, that after letting the charter expire. That, of course, he accomplished it by a series of land sales.
I don't know about that. I don't think Jackson did that.
Oh, yeah, Andrew Jackson. That one I'm sure of.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Well, it matters. Well, they say that the country was in financial turmoil.
They turned it into turmoil afterwards as a revenge, an act of revenge, and showing that you did need to have a central bank, and impressing upon the people that Jackson was, didn't understand what was going on, but he understood very well, I think, what was going on. But I'm learning a lot by listening to you. So the less I talk, the more better.
No, you're right about what you said about the central bankers are always, that is, the most powerful bankers. They're always going to attempt to inflict turmoil to try and prove that banking is a solution for the very turmoil.
They withdrew credit.
Yeah,
they withdrew credit as a result of him letting the charter expire.
Yeah, and that was my original analysis, which was introduced in my work. I don't know, that anybody else has really popularized the notion except my many plagiarists, ever since. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how you slice and dice it, Jackson did not end banking, and that is the solution. Well,
they also tried to kill him. They attempted to he had an attempted assassination, just like everyone else who screws with the banks. Mm-hmm. Anybody that poses any threat to the banks. Mm-hmm. And so they're quite. I think there's more to. It's not just verbal. There's a real intimidation there by these people, getting them into the office in the first place, and then blackmailing them into they're doing their bidding. There's no explanation for what the things that Clinton signed and Bush as well. I mean, it's hard to understand that Nixon, the things Nixon did, the advice of people like Henry Kissinger. I don't know it all, but there's so many things, unanswered questions that I'm looking to people like you to. You're teaching me tonight a lot.
Well, and it's very gratifying to me that private citizens are so educated on the related matters, because all of it matters. No responsible person can turn away from these facts. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact, because in no way whatever can a central banking system service, or any banking at all. And we have a solution now, and we even have a way, which I guess we're going to have to cover in our next program.
I'm hoping you'll post or give the information where people can get your information while you have this audience listening.
Well,
it'll be there being downloaded.
My material has been available, since the first days of the internet, by official HTTP, and then 10 years prior to that, I put my stuff on public bulletin boards and colleges and all over the world. In 84, and so it's been around a long time, and this method of immediately converting a central banking system in a mathematically perfected economy is the only thing which is going to save us from foreclosure, business failure. I mean,
we're about to go into shock. This country's about to go into full economic shock.
We haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
You know, they're pouring this money into circulation, and they're going to have to pour it
Inflated.
at an ever faster rate. No. There's no calculation of